if it's too hard, you should just quit. Right? And this is the worst advice you can ever give an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur will just never quit. In today's world, you cannot give good service anymore if that is your uniqueness. Good service is an expectation. You have to give exceptional service. You only look at selling a company when you are at growth, when you are at a stage where you are exponentially scaling your business. Get somebody in, maybe invest in or buy, then they can scale it.
Hello, listeners. Earlier this year, I attended a summit called the Business Growth Summit, and it was at Asia Business School. And we have the co-founder of Owner Circle here with us today. And we also had him as a previous guest long time ago when we was just doing Zoom. And if you check out the episode, we talked about his backstory, entrepreneurship lessons, and a lot of things that he shared, like how to be an entrepreneur, what are the key lessons, etc. So today we have him here today, again, finally in person, so that we can talk face to face. And then we'll talk about a number of things, including the upcoming summit and also like expansion regionally, etc. So a bit about Owner Circle. All right. So Owner Circle is, very interestingly, a community where entrepreneurs will never have to walk alone. Right. So this is on their website. I didn't make this up. So Ray, welcome.
Yes. Hi, hey, Bob. Good to be back.
And tell us a bit about Owner Circle as well.
Sure. So I think the inspiration for Owner Circle was throughout my journey of entrepreneurship. I've co-founded 17 different companies in 28 years. And one of the things that I realized is that a lot of the companies that I founded was very slow to scale. And I realized that a lot of entrepreneurs, we all don't have formal education. We never had education as to how to do a business properly. None of us went through an MBA. Majority of entrepreneurs just didn't even have probably proper education, right? So I was just inspired by the fact that I could use some of my experiences, other people's experiences, successful entrepreneurs' experiences, and just build a community around an academy, coaching, and just being together. And with that, hopefully it will create we call ourselves a stage for scale. So with the stage for scale, being in a community, then entrepreneurs being together will be able to scale together. So, the tagline of "You never walk alone" is very dear to me because I'm a Liverpool fan. I know you're not. Right?
Oh yeah, I'm not.
So having a community that you won't ever feel lonely, because I'm very sure a lot of entrepreneurs out there feel very lonely. Yeah.
Yes, I can relate with that. Being an entrepreneur is the loneliest thing ever. No one understands, why you work so late, why you are constantly thinking about things, and why are you, like doing certain things, and no one understands the loneliness. That's why.
Absolutely. And people give advice like, if it's too hard, you should just quit. Right? And this is the worst advice you can ever give an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur will just never quit. So we just need that community of like-minded individuals, the people that understand each other and can be there for one another in times of challenge, because there's one thing that's very certain for an entrepreneur, that is definitely guaranteed to have challenges. So if you're a sucker for torture, be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, maybe let us know what is the structure like different types of communities have different structures. So how is the Owner Circle structure like?
So Owner Circle has basically 3 parts of it, right? One part we call it the academy. And in the academy, I believe in what we call the pyramid system. And the pyramid system is 7 areas. And with these 7 areas, if you grow any one of these 7 areas, then you will see your business growing, your business scaling. Now, it is visualized as a pyramid. On the top of the pyramid is mindset, because everything starts from mindset, right? If you have limiting beliefs, if you feel you cannot scale, if you have any doubts, that is the first thing that will stop you from any scale. Once you have your mindset ready, then it will trickle down to the 7 areas. Sorry, the 6 areas. Now, the 6 areas, the first area is business modeling and strategy. The second area is obviously sales, right? Improve your sales. The third area is branding and marketing. The fourth area is finance. A lot of business owners don't run their business based on numbers, right? And that's super important. And the fifth one is people. Because in this day and age, robots are not yet ready to take over the world. So humans are still relevant and we need people to scale. Now, these 5 areas shapes an octagon, right?
Do you have a visual for this?
I wish I did.
Okay,
yes,
well,
yes,
soon.
But
Yeah.
I have one. I'll give it to you. And right in the center is something called customer experience. Because we feel that everything that we do in a business must revolve around customer experience and the customer. If you don't know your customer, you don't have and it means that you can't give them an experience. If you can't give an experience in today's world, your business is dead. Right? So that's the academy. So the academy has programs that anyone can go to in one of these 7 areas. Then as a graduate of the academy, you have an option to go into the community. So the Owner Circle community is a non-profit section of the business where entrepreneurs come together. We will contribute a yearly fee. And with that, we'll curate learning events, learning from other people, networking, also business modeling sections that we do together. And just really to just be with one another, to learn more, to grow more, and to just go through this journey together. Then the top tier, which is the premium part of the system, is Growth Mastermind. And Growth Mastermind is where you have a dedicated, successful coach to coach a group of entrepreneurs together, 6 to 10 companies per group. And through that coaching, the monthly coaching process, one one-on-one session with the coach and one session with the group. So it's this peer group, we call them board of directors.
Okay.
Right? So imagine people in the same like-mindedness but different diverse industries, all brainstorming challenges, brainstorming ideas together on a monthly basis. We've been doing this for about 4 years now. And we've seen companies scaling sometimes up to 23 times in the span of 2 to 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess it works somehow.
Wow. How many members you have in the Owner Circle?
Depending on the level. So the academy has probably gone through about maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people in different programs. The community is just a newly born, new infant, so it's just launched. So that one we are only just launching that. Growth Mastermind today is roughly about 40 companies. Yeah, with about 5 coaches, and we're growing that.
Wow, yeah, I know a number of my friends are inside these. So like like Sun Seng was who owns APW is one of my last time students. So
Nice.
I know he's in there as well. So I know a number of people inside the coaching groups. So talking about the Business Growth Summit, which is coming out in later this year. So I think the first part is scale, right? So you have scale, solidify, transform. So every time I talk to you, and you say, "Oh, Bob, I just started another 3 businesses in Indonesia," or "I just started that business," and a lot of people call themselves serial entrepreneur, but I think you are the real serial entrepreneur. So tell us, like, what motivates you? How do you do it, and how do you start all these businesses?
I don't know lah. I think I'm just a sucker for torture. I just love to be tortured lah. My motivation is, I guess, it's creation lah. I think from a young age, I'm not educated. Right? I can say that. Right? I don't have a degree to call my own. I always feel that there's more to life than just sitting down and just listening to somebody teaching you something. Back then, obviously now I teach a lot of people certain things, right? But it's all through experiences. So I guess my motivation is creation and looking at an opportunity to solve a problem. So every one of those businesses that I start, I always see that there's an opportunity, that there's maybe a player or 2 players that's in the market, but there's something that they are not doing. I just try it out, right? Not every of my ventures work. A lot of them don't, right? But I guess, you know the saying, right? If you don't try, you don't know. Some of it are unfortunately quite expensive.
Hey everyone, producer Elton here. we share stories from business leaders in Asia. And if this video brought you any value, hit the subscribe button down below, like and share with your friends. Thank you.
Today, how many businesses do you have?
Still existing. I'm managing about 7. Yeah. But I just, so I'm going to say this again. Well, I just started 2 more.
Here?
In Indonesia.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. And how does it happen? Like, does someone come to you, hey, Ray, we need a partner, or do you like start by yourself, or what happens?
Actually, I think a lot of it is people approach me for certain ideas. I think I always feel that I'm very blessed. God has given me a lot. I'm a very dedicated person regards to God. And I think through the process, he brings in a lot of people, right? Suddenly there's somebody that will appear and says, hey, I have this idea, right? Or I'm doing this business. What do you think? And then we start brainstorming, and then we come up with another idea. Or we come up with an improvement idea, right? And then the person will say, why don't you come in together with me? I don't do that all the time. I don't accept all opportunities, right? Because I feel that certain opportunities I can't contribute. And if I don't bring any value, then why do I want to be there anyway, right? So majority of it is always been people approaching. Some of it has been something that I see, and then I cultivate something.
You talk about Indonesia just now, and I know you've been spending a lot of time in Indonesia, and of course, owner circle is also like since expanded Indonesia, Philippines. Yes. I also know.
Yes.
So like, what's exciting in Indonesia? Why are you there so much?
You cannot deny that it's a 280 million population, right? A lot of us, when we do B2C businesses, let's say in Singapore or Malaysia is a 30 million population, right? Yeah. Indonesia is 9 times more than Malaysia. So the opportunity perspective is already so much greater, right? From an economy standpoint, since Jokowi days of really how would say evolving the country, right? From an international perspective, you realize that a lot of the younger generations in Indonesia, they all speak very good English, right? So it's evolving from an international perspective. There's a lot of small manufacturing that's happening in Indonesia. Some say that Indonesia is kind of now like the China of Southeast Asia. Back then when China was still growing, right? Yep. That's what's happening in Indonesia. For them to reach 300 million population, probably it's going to happen in about, 3 years, 4 years, very easily, right? So I mean, just the population alone is already, for me, good enough of a motivation to do something there.
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not easy at all.
Like I was in Indonesia. We had a few episodes, which hopefully will come up soon. So I spoke to an economist, and he said, "Yeah, Indonesia we have 300 million. Malaysia is probably a small town, not even Jakarta in Indonesia, and Singapore is a rounding error when it comes to this. But yeah, if you can, if you can succeed in Indonesia, you can succeed anywhere else. Yeah. They like for us Malaysian, we are looking for unicorns businesses. They already have decacorns. There are 5 of them.
Exactly right. But as a foreigner going into any country, one of my biggest lessons that when I was scaling my IT company, this is 10 years ago, which I've already sold. As I was scaling my company, I went into Singapore first, and the expansion was easy. Because why? I think culturally, language, and everything was quite similar. When I went into Thailand, I went into Indonesia. Within that 2 years, I failed. I closed Thailand, I closed Indonesia after 2 years. And I realized back then is that there's one very, very, very important part of business that we have to understand, and that is culture. You can't just go and assimilate and bring your culture to another culture and expect it to work. It won't. Yeah. Period. So now I'm doing it a little bit differently. Actually, a lot differently in Indonesia. Indonesia, you cannot have, rather unless you have $1 million to put into a bank account in Indonesia, you cannot have a name, you cannot own a company in Indonesia, right? So you have to work with local partners. So, and that is the way to go, because local partners will have the connections, local partners will know the scene, they have the culture, right? They know the culture, and you need that local flavor. Without that local flavor, it's very hard for you to navigate. Indonesia is very, very relationship driven. They're very united. They're very community based.
Oh yes.
Right? So for you to go in the community, it's not easy. And we don't speak the language. Right? I speak probably about 50 to 60% now because I've been there for 1.5 years. And I have to do that. And that's why I have to be in Jakarta for like a week or two in a month. Just to be part of the community. Right? And then just work with local partners. The companies that I have in Indonesia don't have my name. Yeah. So if my local partners wants to screw me over and just take over the company, it's very easy. Right? So there's a lot of trust. Yes, there's some lawyer letters behind, notaries that has written letters that, okay, you know, I own certain percentage and this person in Indonesia is a proxy of mine. Right? But that's just a piece of paper, right? The piece of paper can be changed at any time. Right? So yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah, I think company ownership, that's interesting to know that's a challenge. I think when I spoke to an economist in Indonesia, there's so many challenges. There are no like big banks and there's no like sort of infrastructure in a way. It's like they say, the new China in a way, right?
But also because a lot of their businesses or even banks don't need to be international. Right? All they have to do is just support the local community. I mean, they're supporting 280 million people, right? Why do we need to go international? People like Singaporeans, people like Malaysians, we have to go international because the market is not enough.
Yep. When I spoke to Shoaib, who is an economist in Indonesia, he said Indonesia is big, but then in the top 20 banks in Southeast Asia, they are not inside. All Singaporean banks, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very interesting. It's very exciting, of course. And what like you also are in different industries. Like what industries are you in at the moment?
So I have the two companies I started in Indonesia. One is a small product design and social media management company, focused more on product design. So we design products and packages for influencers. And we started that because there was a opportunity I saw. There's a lot of big influencers in Indonesia, right? I coach a guy, the number one influencer in Indonesia called Willy Salim. I think now he has probably 58 million followers on his TikTok, right? And a lot of these influencers, what they have is an audience, right? That is what all businesses want, right? A community that you can sell into. But what they don't have, a lot of them, they don't have products. So they work with other people to endorse products, to sell their products, to get a commission out of it, things like that. So that company designs products, like design soaps, design sambals, design all the packaging, the bottling and everything. And then we source for it as well. Another company that I just started we're just about to launch is a drinks company. Yeah, so we're going to be selling water and drinks in a very special type of packaging. Right? I can't announce it yet. But we're doing that. And then other business that I'm involved in is a bit of F&B. No longer in tech anymore because I sold that company in 2021. Right? I'm not sure whether when I last spoke to you I had already sold that company or not. But that has been sold. So yeah, pretty much that's what I'm involved in at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. So you mentioned you sold your company. So another thing to think about is, of course, how big is big enough, right? You sell, and some businesses scale, some businesses list, some businesses just stay where they are. So how do you know like how big the business should be, or when is the time to stop growing and things like that?
I think it's all individual, right? It's really what you want, right? You would want to list if you need to raise funds, right? Never list if you want to exit a business. Because if you want to exit a business and you list, you are you are made accountable for the growth of the company by all these retail investors, right? People are giving you money, so it's very difficult to be able to exit in that sense, unless you're able to appoint a chairman and things like that. You want to sell if you want to get a certain amount of money, right? Call it your reward at the end of the day, your little treasure at the end of the rainbow, right? Then you would sell your company, right? You want to scale it, right? If you see there's potential for growth to be even bigger, right? A lot of people that bootstraps at the start, right? Some people we start businesses and we don't pay ourselves a single cent. We just try, and they continue this mechanism for a very long time. And for them, perhaps towards this level where they can sell and then get that big payout, then it's worth it, right? Can you imagine if you don't take any salary for like 5 years, just bootstrapping, right? And then you try to scale the company even more. When does it ever end, right? When is it for you, right? So I always feel that we must know where we want to go, and if we want to sell in the end, never sell when the company is at its peak. Yeah. Why would any investor want to buy a company when it's already at the peak? If I put in money in your company, I want to make sure that it can even grow even further. So a lot of people miss this step. They feel that they have to scale their company and to make it very big and then sell the company to get the best valuation and the biggest deal ever possible. And then they get disappointed when nobody buys their company, right? And because if I put 10 million in a company, I want to make sure that I get my 10 million back and even double it to maybe 20 million or 30 million. If the company is already at its peak, there's no room for growth even more. Maybe I'll get my 10 million back, but then what's the point? I'd rather take my 10 million, put it into a fixed deposit somewhere or a bond or a stock somewhere and earn that 7 to 10% a year, right? It's even better. Yeah. So you only look at selling a company when you are at growth, when you are at a stage where you are exponentially scaling a business, get somebody in, maybe invest in or buy it, then they can scale it to the next level.
Wow, that is very very good. That is gold because I also think the same way. I thought, you need to scale to a certain amount, show that you have a lot of profits, and then you sell the company, which is not the case, right?
No, never the case, right? Always think from a perspective of the investor, the person that's buying, right? The only reason why people would buy any other company is for growth. Like when we sold it to a public listed company. And because they wanted to scale their technology part of the business. So some investors or some companies want to buy another company for their database. I can take my product and I can sell it in your database already. So I will achieve growth.
Yep.
Sometimes I want to buy, like for me, the public listed company bought me to take my technology to scale into their customers. Right? Because we sold to a telco. And they have a database of another 30 to 50,000 customers. So can you imagine if they took our technology and even put into 1% of their customers, 300 additional customers, right? And if each of those costs about 10,000, that is already a $3 to $30 million revenue there already, year on year, right? So always, to me, investors only look at two things. And the one main foundation is how can they acquire you to grow instead of starting something similar and building it all throughout and wait for 5 years until it scales.
Yeah, I follow. There's this Sam Pa who actually sold his newsletter business. And same thing, like HubSpot bought his newsletter business because he had 1 million subs, so very easy to cross-sell to that. So like you said, easier to buy than to start from zero and bootstrap all the way.
Yeah, correct. And relating to this topic, myself, I asked a lot of people that had sold their companies, what was the main factor, or what was the main decision that you had to make relating to selling your company, even before selling your company? And we all agreed and we said that if before even selling the company, we need to know who we want to sell to. a lot of us, if we don't know who we're going to sell to or the type of company we're going to sell to, then you cannot shape your company towards that sale. Because it's like trying to sell to a customer and you don't know what the customer wants. Right? It's very hard, right? You try to sell a cup of coffee to a customer, but actually the customer wants tea. Right? If you knew it from the start, then you should start making tea now. So always know who you want to sell to first before you even start the process of trying to sell.
Yes, that's very important. So what backwards think who potentially could buy and want to buy this business.
Absolutely. Right?
Yeah.
Then you can shape it, right? You can create more structures towards what is it that they actually want.
Yep, of course, before selling, you need to know how to take care of all your books and make sure when you sell,
Obviously.
there is IP and there's a lot of things to be sold together as well.
It needs to be profitable, right? At the end of the day, most companies buy, and when they invest in, or rather when you buy our company, it's always based on profits. The most easiest formula is profits times PE. Whatever is the value, with the valuation times how many years that they value your company towards growth, right? So if you're going to be selling a company, you got to stop buying handbags for your wife under the company. You got to stop buying cars. You got to make sure that your company is profitable, because they're going to look at your profits and they're going to pay you based on your profits times a number. So if your books is 0, you get nothing for your company. so yeah.
Is there a particular industry that you think can sell more? Like I know, like, okay, media business, it depends, right? Then there's people who sell agency multiples is up in maybe 2. Then there's some industries like SaaS or technology, they can sell for many multiples, right? Any industries that you think is best for this?
I think technology is very sexy, right? Because there's so many case studies of some even up to 50 times, P of 50, P of 40, and things like that, P of 60. Because I guess technology has very low investment entry, right? But high potential, right? So you spend time coding a piece of an app, and the app itself has a potential to grow 10 to 20 times what you've invested in it. So typically if you see VCs and all that, a lot of them tend to try to invest in tech. And tech is still growing, right? The company I sold develops AI software. So I sold in 2021, where AI just started, right? So for me, selling the company at that level, a lot of people ask me, hey, AI just started, right? Probably only a few years old. Why you want to sell a company now? Right? You can leverage, you can and grow even more, right? I said, yes, I can. But at that stage, I had already gotten a bit jaded, and I wanted to go towards another industry. So I felt that I was already, I could be a bottleneck of the company, personally.
Yep.
But the company is at a stage where it's scaling, right? So it's the perfect alignment for sale, because the industry demands it, right? The people demand it, and you provide it, right? And you're at a stage of, yes, it's growing even more and more and more. So yeah, so that was the decision, right? So we sold it at 8 times PE, right? Not the 20, not the 50 times.
Still good,
PE,
yeah.
right? But typically tech, you'll see a bit more bigger PEs, right? Than traditional companies like manufacturing, product-based companies, and so on, right? But all in all, one thing that I see across industries is that regardless of whether you're in tech or anything, right? If you are something very unique, very different, even not unicorn, but towards unicorn-like, your PEs are very, very high, right? So the moral of the story is this: whatever businesses that you're creating, create it to be unique, right? Whatever it is, even if it's you're in a red ocean business, a red ocean industry, create a blue ocean within that red ocean. Yeah, if it makes sense.
Yeah, I like this red ocean thing, right? And like I get a lot of unsolicited advice a lot of times. People tell me you should do this for the podcast, you do this for business. You're like you should do this for owner circle, all this, right?
Yeah.
So like one of the things they say, hey Bob, why you start a podcast when you do English, or you should do Chinese, you should do Malay, which I think there's validity to it. But I think there's, like you said, do something unique but a bit different. You never find a completely blue ocean. Even the best companies today, for example, you talk about Facebook. Friendster was the big guy at that time. It's not like something very unique. It's just unique by a bit of features.
Yeah.
If you talk about other things, there's already somebody there or some player there, right? Doesn't have to be super blue ocean. What do you think?
No, I think if you look at the world of unicorns, and there was a point of time, probably about maybe 10 years ago, everybody was trying to be a unicorn, right? Oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be a unicorn. But the foundational fact of unicorn is what? What is a unicorn? A unicorn is a magical creature that we don't even know whether it exists.
It's the national animal of Scotland.
Right? So, just that fact alone, why, if all entrepreneurs and all businesses are trying so hard to be this unicorn, this creating this perfect product which only you have, then you will see 99% failure. Because it can never happen. The fact that the certain unicorns like the Grabs or not become unicorn is because they're unique. And if you really, really study the history of Grab, can you imagine how much money that they had to put in? They were losing money business, right? They kept on raising funds. Because it's a losing money business because they had to invest a lot of money in education.
A lot.
Right?
Changing behavior.
Exactly. So if you create, like, say, a new phone, right? A phone that I don't know, you don't even have to listen, right? You just put the phone in your pocket and just start talking and things like that, right? Anything which is revolutionary or new, there needs to be a period of education. Now the question is, do you have enough of money and cash to invest in that education? And most people don't have. Yeah. So instead of going that route, I feel that we all should go the route of, just finding a niche around what do we do best. Right? I think you have been doing this podcast for a while. And it's something you do best. So just find a niche around, like you do it from a business perspective, right? You interview entrepreneurs, you interview economists and so on, talking about the business perspective. So I feel that is already unique enough that people can go to you from a certain perspective. Look at businesses like Hai Di Lao, right? Public listed hot pot, right? Are they a unicorn? They're not a unicorn.
Yeah.
Right? They are in a red ocean industry.
Hot pots.
It's just hot pot, right? But I hope nobody from Hai Di Lao is listening to this. But I mean, honestly, right?
Yeah.
How's the food? Right? Their food is at best normal. They're not like super outstanding. Right? So I'm sure anybody listening to this knows of a hot pot place which has better food.
I know.
Right? You too, right?
I know. So as my hotpot friends, I have friends who eat Hai Di Lao every week.
Yeah.
This is what they say. For the price point, it is the best. You want better, then you have to go up the value chain. Yeah.
Fair enough. But why is Hai Di Lao successful? Because their focus is not on the food. Their focus is on the service. Right? So they provide exceptional service, not even good service. In today's world, you cannot give good service anymore if that is your uniqueness. Good service is an expectation. You have to give exceptional service, and that's what Hai Di Lao does. Right? You can even go to eat hot pot alone, right? In Hai Di Lao.
Oh yes.
Right? They put a soft toy in front of you so you don't feel alone, right?
Yeah. They have a birthday song, and then they have the breakup song. So you break up already, you go and eat hot pot, they will sing a breakup song for you. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So you see all these big companies, eventually you realize one thing. They are all in a red ocean industry, F&B, right, and all that. But they have one uniqueness to carry them in a blue ocean within the red ocean, right? McDonald's, same thing. Starbucks, same thing, right? Not the best coffee, but they're the biggest company. Not the best burger, but they're the largest burger company in the world. right? Do they serve the best coffee? Do they serve the best burger? No, but they're big because they focus on a specific area.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Everyone thinks, oh, to find something nobody else do, I'm going to do what nobody else do.
Yeah. And I feel that a lot of businesses or entrepreneurs today, they focus too much on the product. They try to make this perfect product and not understanding that there's no such thing as perfection in the world. In today's, it's all about speed, right? Somebody launch your product faster than you, not as good as you, can do better than you. Why? Because they got market share first, right? So I feel that entrepreneurs need to understand that don't wait for a product to be perfect to launch it, and then make it perfect along the way. That is what entrepreneurship is supposed to be. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Like when we talked last time on the pod, it was just Zoom. I just do
Yes.
no intro music, nothing. Just do
Absolutely,
and
man.
improve. As you know, I work with Elton now. We improve slowly, get better mics, got studio.
Yeah, I'm impressed, man.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah,
I'm
thank
impressed.
you.
You know, I'm happy that you don't ask me about kung fu movie questions anymore.
Yeah, so thank you for your time, Ray. So I think before we go, we need to, of course, talk about your upcoming summit.
Sure.
And then in the future, we'll put in the quotes, etc. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's happening at the Business Growth Summit?
So the Business Growth Summit is a summit that we do every year, right? Call it our give back to entrepreneurship, but it is something that we're very passionate about. So we bring in entrepreneurs to share stories, to share their entrepreneurship journeys, and our target is the youth and youth entrepreneurs, right? Entrepreneurs that are below 40, which are in the stage for scale. Come listen to stories from people around, not only in Malaysia, but from Asia. So this year, we're expanding. We are getting speakers from Singapore, from Indonesia, from the Philippines, and sharing the different entrepreneur stories, the different way of doing businesses
Last
in those
time,
countries.
the previous Business Growth Summit,
Yes.
I was very interesting. I met this Singaporean entrepreneur who was in the funeral business. So that
Absolutely.
story just stuck in me. Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
we want to bring all these unique stories. Ang Jolie is her name. She's a friend, and yeah, she just, listening to somebody running a funeral business, dealing with death every single day, right? And that is a business by itself. And what did she talk about, if you remember, right? She talked about marketing.
Funeral business has been around for the longest time. She just found a different way of doing it.
Absolutely, right? She talked about showers of love.
Yeah.
Right? How she created a product to care for not only the person, the deceased, but also the families and so on. So Business Growth Summit is about that. It's about finding unique stories, stories that you typically won't hear. There's many other conferences, and you'll get the common speakers, the common entrepreneurs that come. We try our best to get people which are different, people that you don't normally hear from, right? Some are hidden champions. We're gonna have somebody from a manufacturing company, which probably nobody has ever heard his name before, right? And I won't reveal who yet, but he scales almost $1 billion company, right? But nobody knows his name, and he's a manufacturer here in Malaysia, right? So come to Business Growth Summit if you wanna learn. And from this year onwards, we are making it in November. Why? Because we feel that November is a good time, because every business is trying to figure out a strategy to scale. So November, you have a month, December, to plan, and then hopefully lessons that we learn from the Business Growth Summit, we will be able to implement and scale in 2025. Yeah.
Yes, look forward to that as well. And later we'll share more about the promo codes. And before we go, I need to shout out the Marika space. So entrepreneurship is about creation. Thank you, Marika, for letting us use this space. So Marika supports and grows communities through their partnerships with development agencies and foundations by creating skill content developing programs and a marketplace. So Elton, our producer, is in their marketplace also. And they help all these freelancers and creatives to have a marketplace to sell their services, and of course for us entrepreneurs to work with them as well. As you can see, we can use the space for recording. You can use the space outside. There are 2 events happening at the moment. You can use this event space as well. So thank you so much, Marika. Hello listeners, thank you for watching the interview. So the Business Growth Summit is happening on the 13th and 14th November at Commune Living Wellness in Bandar Tun Razak. Come and learn transformative strategies for the next year 2025. They have a great list of speakers and also a special guest speaker as well. So I'll be moderating a session, so come and learn the strategies for next year. We have a promo code TigerXBGS. So use that to get a very special discount. So I'll see you there.